I've been asked through the years, what is it that motivates City Ministry Network? The first few words of our mission statement says, because God loves the world, this is what we do. But I want to say to you, to everybody, that because God loves the world, City Ministry Network is compelled, we are urged, we are motivated to do the work of leadership development in whatever place or space or individuals that come across us. One of the key phrases, if you were ever sit in one of our staff meetings or one of our board meetings, is we say a lot to each other that we are chasing the wild goose. In Celtic theology, chasing the wild goose meant we're leaning closely to seeing where God is doing His work of transformation, and we want to join Him there. And so now, as we are operating in this season, what does that look like for us? What does that look like for our community? We are probing and poking and wondering and experimenting and exploring, trying to figure out what would be the best way to develop our young people and our leaders in our community.
Catalyst is a place where multi-sector leaders come together to convene, collaborate, and work together for the common good of the community.
I remember the main takeaway I was told about this meeting was, we don't want to recreate the wheel. If somebody already is doing work in our community, why wouldn't we join together and make it stronger?
You know, one of the exciting things is when you get people in the room who have need, who have resources, who have dreams and ideas and imaginations that sometimes they have a hard time figuring out how it works. It's been incredible to be a part of conversations and action in our community where people of like minds but different backgrounds and different gifts and abilities find each other and begin to dream together.
Catalyst is a place where we really have three goals. One is for leaders to meet one another. Second, for them to see the positive things that are happening in the community. And third, we encourage collaboration throughout the community.
The power of community collaboration is essential to any kind of systemic changes that we can have in our community. The mantra of loving people, of caring for people, like CMN has really participated in, is, in my opinion, the only way we're going to see these significant changes.
One of the communities that we have discovered we had a deep need for to develop leaders was in the Latino community.
So Latino Leadership Initiative is a cohort program designed for emerging Latino leaders to help really equip them with the core competencies around civic leadership and civic engagement. And so really developing those core competencies for leaders in our community.
It actually came from gathering a bunch of local community leaders that kind of look like I do, and we realized that they were just amazing leaders in the community, but not a lot of people knew who they were, and that was kind of one of the things that we didn't understand. And we realized that, man, if we were more intentional about developing those leaders, we could really change the narrative of our leadership.
And so by really intentionally investing in strengthening the Latino leaders in our community to really help us really move towards changing the leadership landscape here.
Key for us was working with LLI because I think they were really shaping and supporting the character development and the skill sets, and we came alongside them as sort of a parallel program to then place them on nonprofit boards. So it's been a great partnership. It's informal in some ways, but really jives together beautifully.
In my personal experience, LLI is a place where people like me, a Latina, daughter of immigrants, a person of color, from Westside Modesto, where I have a place where I developed my skills as a leader, but also discovered that I have a place at the table where most decisions are made in our community, because I feel like I have this view of the people who make the decisions in our community don't look like me. So I was able to discover that, no, I have a place at a table where I make those decisions.
In my eyes, it's really a space to build community with other young leaders and to really learn about yourself individually, as well as your culture and how that applies to your leadership style and how you can impact your community through your leadership style. I feel so much more confident. When I started LLI, I was really scared and lost as a leader. I honestly didn't see myself as a leader. And through, the several months going through the cohort, I started slowly but surely finding my voice, knowing that my voice mattered, and it just made me a more confident person individually, but it also made me a more confident leader in my work.
In 2021, we were invited by the Stanislaus Community Foundation and Stanislaus County government to sit down together with this idea to create in Stanislaus County a community development corporation.
So prior to the pandemic, before we even knew what was about to happen, obviously across the world, in 2019, Stanislaus Community Foundation commissioned a body of work around economic mobility. And through that study, we began to understand that we're actually missing some basic infrastructure. And one of those core pieces was an organization that's basically a community development organization that's focused on economic mobility at the neighborhood level and being sophisticated enough to understand how capital flows and how we can begin to flow that capital into the communities that need it most. That type of organization didn't exist in Stanislaus County.
Stanislaus Equity Partners, STEP, was established as a 501c3 under the guidance of City Ministry Network. STEP exists to determine any types of solutions, the types of gaps that are in our ecosystem that would provide housing for individuals that normally couldn't get housing. We have a housing crisis. Because of STEP's DNA of being collaborative and not wanting to replicate anything, we've been really very significantly focused in on finding out who's doing what, and have developed partners that are helping us together come up with a plan that addresses the homeless issue as well as the housing issue that we have in Stanislaus County.
We believe that Stanislaus Equity Partners, this community development corporation, can break the cycle of generational poverty in two ways. Number one, home ownership, helping our mom and dads, those mom and dads on the margins, own their own home to create wealth for their families and for our own children. The second way we need to do, and we believe that we can do this, is small business development, encouraging the entrepreneurial spirit that thrives in Stanislaus County, and thus create generational wealth for their children. So our goal through Stanislaus Equity Partners, which City Ministry Network had the privilege to incubate and then birth and release, they are now their own organization, is to break that cycle of generational poverty. I've just shared with you just a handful of incredible things that we've been privileged to be entrusted with and to be a part of. Developing leaders in all kinds of different sectors, being entrusted by other organizations in government to do our work of leadership development and increasing the opportunity for men and women to raise their families here. We see things for our community, for our county, for our Central Valley that so many others can't see. And we look forward to having those dreams come to fruition.